And welcome to NBA Countdown Home Edition. We're so happy to be back with you. Maria Taylor alongside my cousin's uncles, Uncle P and Jalen Rose.
What up, Niecy?
How you doing down in the A? I hear y'all opening up kind of early, possibly this weekend. I'm not sure about that decision.
I know. We're just trying to be, I guess, first. We're trying to win first. The good news is, though, even if I choose to stay in, which I probably will down here in Atlanta, I'll be able to watch The Last Dance for the next Sunday, the next 8 Sundays, which is dope. We finally got to see the debut.
It was dope.
What was your reaction? What was your reaction, Jalen?
My reaction is that Jerry Krause had an opportunity to be celebrated as an all-time exec. Think about it. He discovered Phil Jackson, brought in Tex Winter, drafted Scottie and Horace Grant. And right now in his death, fans and media members are going to tarnish his legacy because he couldn't allow his ego to let those guys take the credit. That's really what it was all about. You got to find a way to keep Phil happy. Everybody know the 6 Phil one in Chicago, but don't sleep. He went and got 5 more with the Lakers after that. Okay? And so to not take care of Scottie and then just rub it in his face for so many years, it's unfortunate that his legacy is going to be tarnished the way it is based on how he handled that situation and blew it up the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. That left a really bad taste in my mouth because, you know, I grew up, you know, watching the Bulls. I was in college, and you kind of wanted to see it continue. So when you see the behind the scenes on how the rift between Jerry and Krause and Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan was like it makes you wonder, like, how many more they could have won, how much further could they have went, and it's just. Like this, when you look at it, it didn't have to happen. It was like, how do you let go of a coach, let a coach that's coming off his 5th ring, let him know this is his last year? I like really didn't get it. And Jalen, you said it. I mean, a lot of it probably had to do with ego. I'm not sure how much it had nothing to do with what kind of job you were doing. Usually when somebody gives you that type of ultimatum or, you know, puts that on the line that you'll be done after the year, it's usually based on your performance. But I just really didn't get the whole thing with the signing, not giving Scottie his money and letting Phil go.
So I got to ask both of you guys your opinions on this because this part of the story is kind of skating for somebody that was in the league and as a Detroit native just always follow the Bulls closely, especially when they got Rodman. Is that those last couple of years, Jordan took all the money. Remember, he got paid like 30, 35 for 2 straight years. Yeah. And so there was a chance that he could have took care of his man too. He was getting 35, Maria, for 2 years. And Scottie was getting $4 million and unhappy and ran out of town. So that was one of the things that, you know, I always wondered about, like why he didn't, you know, look out for his man. Did you guys?
So did you think a suggestion is going back to basically management and being like, yo, I can see that this isn't fair. Let me get my man paid, knowing that you have the pull to make maybe something like that happen because you are the crown king of not just Chicago, but the NBA. You would have wanted to see something similar to that.
Yeah, I wish he would have had a chance to do that. But Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, getting a pass because he allowed Krause to do that. He allowed Scottie to get underpaid. They felt Paul them boys was getting too powerful. You know how the game worked. Didn't want to pay Phil. Jordan was becoming the GOAT. He was going to try to go into ownership. They was like, nah, this is ours.
That make me wonder if Scottie was underpaid, then how many years was Jordan underpaid? If he just leaped to $30 million? Where was his salary before that? What was he making before that? What, 8, 9?
Yeah, there were guys jumping up, like role players or 1 or 2-time All-Stars to make more money than MJ at certain times in the 90s. Scottie was top 10 in the early 90s. Then he signed a big deal. He's like, I'm about to get my bread. And then that's when he signed a 7-year deal.
Yeah.
And that's when he got stuck. But here's what I want to ask you, Truth, because you're a Hall of Fame player. You got a chance to play with 2 more guys later in your career. And it happened in reverse, so you appreciate it. What about for the fans and people like me that didn't win a ring? When I see some of the most miserable people are the ones that won championships. Scottie Pippen, Shaq blew up the Lakers, KD and how he left Golden State. What do you think about those scenarios?
You know what I'm gonna tell you, Jay, what I noticed between our team, and I'm gonna tell you, like, after the first year we won it, you know, you get a taste of like being on top. What you started seeing was people wanted more. You know, people, when you get to the top, you know, then you start thinking, does my value go up? Does my role increase? You know, and then when you don't get those things, it causes tension. It causes tensions amongst the players. It causes tensions amongst the coaches or management. And I noticed that. I mean, as you know, the success was coming, even though we didn't win again, but we were a team that were a contending team for like 3 or 4 years that could have won. But as we got better, people wanted more money. People wanted increased roles, and it caused tension in the locker room. And I can see that, and that's what I saw with KD and Draymond. That's what we saw, you know, with the Bulls, and we see that with a lot of these teams that have success.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but just Draymond's comments in general about KD saying, you know, he never came out and said it was going to be either I'm staying or I'm going. And as a result, you know, Clay and I have to answer all of these questions. It was almost like the quote as it kept going, Draymond was getting madder and madder and madder and madder, having a discussion about it. But it kind of speaks to what you're saying, Paul. And then everyone's expecting a little bit more. We all know that KD was feeling some type of way even while he was winning with the Warriors. And the result is the split up of what became a dynasty. So what were your reactions to some of the words that we heard Draymond speak truth to in that Kevin Durant scenario?
I really didn't agree with Draymond because, like, Kevin Durant, he doesn't have to let anybody know anything. He could have just been like, I want to hoop, and I'll address my free agent stuff when that time comes. I mean, of course, Draymond and Klay Thompson, they addressed the media about their situation because they, like he said, they helped build that, whereas KD came into that. So, you know, him, you know, taking the power into his own hands, and that's what that you've been seeing what these players been doing lately. Why they signing these 1 year, 2 year deals. He just wanted to wait. He didn't want to have that discussion in the middle of the season, and he has that right. And so it's not up to him to say, I'm gonna be here or not be here. Maybe it affect Draymond in a way, and I'll tell you why it affect him. Because if KD says I'm gonna be here, it's gonna affect probably what they do with Draymond and signing him again and how much money he's gonna make. And that's probably something that was weighing on him and why he was frustrated with the whole thing.
And you're right, it's only one pie, and certain guys gonna get different slices of it. Maria, to me, it comes back to one word: recruiting. Mm-hmm. When you are in the Hamptons trying to get KD to come run with the Warriors, if he said he was only coming for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll take it. And that's what they did. Everything that came with it off the floor was worth it on the floor because, yeah, he did join a 73-win team, in theory, jump on the bandwagon. But while he was there, he didn't ride their coattails. He was the finals MVP, showed that he was the best player, got his couple of rings, and then he bounced. So I understand why the guys that started there, the core group, would feel some type of way about him doing that. Now to them, it's going to be like Kobe when Shaq left, Shaq when he left Kobe. All of these great players that leave situations now are going to appreciate it. They get a chance to win another one. So if they get a chance, the Warriors, to win another one, they're going to appreciate that one so very much because they're going to do it without KD.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of winning another one, and you already brought this up too, Paul, how many more could the Bulls have won if the entire team and coaching staff stayed together?
I really feel like they had like at least 2 more left. At least 2 more. I mean, Jordan's prime was lasting longer than anybody's prime we've seen. I mean, he was in his upper 30s and still playing like the best player in the league, even though Karl Malone took away an MVP. We know Barkley took an MVP from him. I mean, he got some MVP stole from him, but they could have squeezed out 1 or 2 more, I believe.
And also, again, like I was saying about Krause, he remade that team a couple of times. Jordan played 6 seasons in the 90s. They won a championship every year. The first 3 years was with a different squad than the second 3 years. And then Scottie not playing a lot in 98 because he chose to get surgery during the season. Shout out to the OG. I see why he felt like he needed to do that. I felt like took some more miles off of MJ. So then now you make that game-winning shot, and then you retire again, and then you go play with the Wizards. So I'm with P, at least one more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this also, the East became a revolving door after that.
Yeah.
He had it done. Everybody was making it to the finals. The Knicks in 99, us in 2000. No doubt. The Nets, in back-to-back years, it was wide open at that point.
Okay, one more discussion I need us to have, and maybe we can end it here. I hope that we don't have to go down this rabbit hole again. But because of The Last Dance, it's drumming up the conversation that we have always, the MJ versus LeBron discussion. For some reason, we can't just enjoy one without talking about the other. How do you guys feel about that just reappearing yet again on our timeline, in our Instagram, and constantly like on everyone's minds right now?
I mean, that's all good for barbershop talk. That's all good for, you know, in the backyard, barbecue talk. But at the end of the day, you got to appreciate Jordan's greatness and you got to appreciate Bron's greatness. Bron is the greatest player of this generation. It's really hard. You know what? I had a really chance during this coronavirus pandemic. I had a chance to really sit back, and I've been thinking a lot of hoops.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to come to a conclusive number one because when you talk about accolades and championships, why nobody ever mentioned Bill Russell in this conversation? I mean, he got the MVPs, he got the chips, he did it as a player and a coach, but yet we never seem to mention him in this conversation. So in saying that, Jordan, LeBron, they're all the GOATs of their generations. And it's hard to weigh in on if he was in this generation, what he had done. So I'm done having that discussion. I'm not going to rank nobody no more ever again because now when I look back at it, like I said, we're going to really have this discussion. Let's really put like guys like Bill and Kareem up in this conversation.
So Maria, as Paul mentioned, we get asked this question a lot. You're very intelligent. Your hearing is amazing. I want to just make sure that I'm answering the question properly. When people say, who's the greatest of all time? What does greatest mean to you? Is that the most skilled? Is that the best leader?
Right.
Is that the most talented? Is that the most rings? Can you educate me what that means before I please give my answer?
That's the problem with this discussion, I think, is that it's different for everybody. So for one person, it might be championships. For the other, it might be the leader or the person that overcame the most adversity to make it to that position. So I don't know what the GOAT means. It's just a conversation we continue to have and put MJ and LeBron in against each other. Like they can't exist together.
Right. And so now that means, okay, now we got to go to the definition of the word. Mm-hmm. So greatest means at their apex, accomplish the most. That's really what it means. It's not a longevity thing. Anton Jameson has 20,000 points and 10,000 rebounds. He's not in the Hall of Fame. It's not a longevity thing. It's a greatness thing. Michael Jordan played 6 seasons in the 90s and won championships in all 6. Mm-hmm. Paul, I do mention a couple of the guys you mentioned. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his skill, his numbers, his stats are basically unmatched in the history of the game.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Plus, he got the championships. Bill Russell, his numbers are unmatched. And for young people, whether on social media or in person, that dismiss Bill Russell, like I'm not even discussing basketball with you. It's like the rap conversation, Paul, was like, who the greatest? And they jump up and say Drake. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not even going to discuss this with you. And based on that, to me, those 3 guys accomplished things that LeBron James just has not accomplished.
Yeah,
they have. He's won 3 championships and put up all amazing numbers, and he is a top 5 player on anybody's list. But he's won 3 of them in 17 seasons. 17 seasons. Bill Russell won 11 in 13 seasons. That's greater.
Right.
That's just, Jordan has 2 3-peats. He has 3 championships total. So, I mean, those 3 guys to me have the high scores that ain't nobody taking down. And then you can debate. For me, I'll put LeBron, Magic, Tim Duncan, Kobe, and Larry Bird all in the next conversation.
Right. What about Dream?
And the Dream in that conversation too. He won the championship my first 2 years.
Yeah.
Ooh, a monster, P.
Well, I had to bring it up so that Paul could put it to rest. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not having this discussion. And I promise to never ask you if Drake is the greatest rapper of all time.
No, Maria, Drake is not the greatest rapper.
No,
Maria, I used the Migos. Tough.
But thanks for
They're dope, Maria. They're dope. But they're not the greatest of all time.
Yeah. We cannot be captive with the current or whatever it is. What do we always say? You can't be captive of the current situation, or there's some saying about that. Do you have it, Jesse? Just chime in. No, Jesse's not gonna help. Well, whatever. Paul, I appreciate you wearing your Jordan jersey, your sweatshirt today.
Oh yeah,
we needed that. We needed a little bit of Last Dance with us. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. I don't know if we're going to have another NBA countdown this week, but watch the NFL draft. I'll be there for that.
We're going to represent for you. Best of luck with that. And Okuda, he's going to be a great player. He reminds me of Jalen Ramsey. I'm happy to be getting a Buckeye in Detroit if we take him. Okay. But it's going to pain me to watch us pass on a franchise quarterback. It's going to pain me. It's going to pain me. Paul, what the Patriots gonna do at quarterback this year? That's your squad.
I'm Rams now, dog. I'm Rams.
What?
No, listen. I told y'all once Brady left that I'm Rams now.
I'm not letting that ride. I'm not letting that go.
I said this. I've been saying this for years. I'm Rams now.
Well, that's that. We'll be looking out for what the Rams and the Detroit Lions do at the NFL draft. We'll catch you next time on NBA Countdown.
All right, y'all.
All right, appreciate the love. Y'all stay up.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.